Namaskar children. Yesterday I taught you about the three graphs and let us recall about the importance of the sectors. In developed countries in the initial stages of development, the primary sector is the most important sector. With time, the shift has been seen from primary to secondary, secondary to tertiary. And this shift between the sectors in case of India, the shift between the sectors can be seen in two terms. What are the two terms? In terms of share of each sector in GDP means total production is shifted that from primary to secondary, secondary to tertiary sector, and that is in terms of GDP production. Whereas in terms of employment in each sector, the primary sector continues to employ the maximum people, while there has been a change in the share of three sectors in GDP. A similar shift has not taken place in employment. Let us see this graph again. And if you see here, share of sectors in employment in the percentage, primary sector employs more than half of the people. As you observed the two diagrams here, one diagram 75, another diagram 60. Though the share of the primary sector in GDP has declined as it employs maximum number of people, whereas secondary and tertiary sector employs less than half of the people. Whereas in share of sectors in GDP in the percentage, share of sectors in GDP in the percentage, share of agricultural sector in GDP has decreased and that of tertiary sector has increased. Whereas primary sector produces 1/4 of the GDP, secondary and tertiary sector produces here 3/4 of the GDP is given. In your textbook is given 5/4 of the GDP. That means no, 4/5 of the GDP. 4/5 of the GDP as per your textbook. This is previous year textbook is given as 3/4 of the GDP. And let us see this lady. See, this lady is a very beautiful lady. And children, this lady name is Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the farmer, not Lakshmi ma'am. Don't confuse, my dear lovely children. So, okay, Lakshmi. Let us say about this Lakshmi. I am feeling a little bit fun as my name has to be say like this in the class. And Lakshmi, she is having 2 hectares of unirrigated land. What is unirrigated land? Irrigation means providing water facilities through the dams, reservoirs and check dams. But Lakshmi is having unirrigated land. Means what? Depend upon the rainfall. So when the rainfall gets, then only she can cultivate the crops like jowar and arhar. Arhar means PGNP. That is called as arhar. And total, all 5 members of her family work in the plot throughout the year. Why? Because they have nowhere to go for work. Everyone is working in the field. None remains idle, but in actual fact, their labor effort gets divided. That means that each one is doing some work, but no one is fully employed. This is the situation of underemployment. Means where people are apparently working, but all of them are made to work less than their potential. This kind of underemployment is underemployment is hidden in contrast to someone who does not have a job and is clearly visible as unemployed. Hence, it is also called as disguised unemployment. But suppose how we can make Lakshmi to get more income? If the Lakshmi's 2 members will go to the Sukharam. Who is Sukharam? He was the landlord in the village. So if the Sukharam called any 2 members of the Lakshmi's family to work in his land, so now Lakshmi's family is now able to earn some extra income through wages. Since They do not need 5 people to look after the small plot. 2 people moving out does not affect the production on their farm. So, in this example, 2 people may move to work in a factory. Once again, the earnings of the family would increase and they would also continue to produce as much from their land. So that means 2 people can go out of their house and they will work in some other's land or they will work in some other factory. Their income will be increased. This is not only problem to Lakshmi. Lakhs of farmers like Lakshmi in India. That means they even remove a lot of people from the agricultural sector and provide them with proper work elsewhere. So agricultural production will not suffer. So the incomes of the people who take up other work would increase the total family income. So this underemployment can also happen not only in agricultural sector, in other sector also we can observe. For example, we can observe there are thousands of casual workers in the service sector in the urban areas who search for daily employment, like plumbers, painters, repair persons. These all people are doing odd jobs, and many of the people, if you observe in the cities and towns, they do not get work every day. Similarly, we see other people of the service sector on the street pushing a cart or selling something where they may spend the whole day but earn very little. Then why the people are doing this work? Because they do not have better opportunities. Actually, what is unemployment? Unemployment is not having a job. In case of India, we have unemployment in rural areas and in urban areas. What type of unemployment we can observe in the rural areas? That is seasonal and disguised unemployment, and in urban areas there is called as educated unemployment. So what is disguised unemployment? As I explained early in the Lakshmi's family, that is called as disguised unemployment. Disguised unemployment means there is an agriculture where some people find work. The work requires the service of 5 people but engages 8 people. 3 or extra. These 3 people also work in the same plot as others. If 3 people are removed, the productivity of the field will not decline. Decline means reduced. The field requires service of 5 and 3 extra people are disguised employed. And what is seasonal unemployment? Seasonal unemployment happens when their people are not able to find jobs during some months of year. There are certain busy seasons when sowing, harvesting, weeding and threshing is done. Certain months do not provide much work to the people dependent on agriculture, because agriculture is basically dependent on season. This is called seasonal unemployment. We can observe in the agricultural sector. Next one, underemployment. It is a situation where people are apparently working, but all of them are made to work less than their potential. If few people move out, it will not affect the production. It is hidden in contrast to the open unemployment, where a person is clearly or visible without a job. It is also called disguised unemployment or disguised unemployment. And this underemployment also happen in other sectors. For example, there are thousands of casual workers in service sector in the urban areas as painters, plumbers, repair persons, etc. And what is educated unemployment? Many youth with matriculation, graduation and post-graduation degrees are not able to find a job. A study showed that graduate and postgraduate has increased faster than among matriculates. Matriculation means in olden days it is 10th class. There is unemployment among technically qualified person on other hand, while there is a dearth of technical skills required for economic growth. So this educated unemployment means qualification is more and they do not get even a simple job also. This is called as educated unemployment. And now let us see this picture. How to create more employment. As we have discussed from the above discussion, we can see that there are continues to be considerable underemployment in agriculture. These are also people who are not employed at all. So how we can increase the employment for people? For example, again call our farmer Lakshmi. she is having 2 hectare plot of unirrigated land. Then what we can do? The government can give her bank loan. With that bank loan, she can construct a well for her family to irrigate the land. And whenever Lakshmi is able to irrigate her land, and then she can cultivate second crop wheat during the Rabi season. 1 hectare of wheat, for example, can provide employment to 2 people for 50 days, like sowing, watering, fertilizer, application, and harvesting. So, 2 more members of the family can be employed in her own field. And suppose if a new dam is constructed and canals are dug to irrigate many such farms, then what happens? Employment generation will occur in the agricultural sector itself, reducing the problem of underemployment. Suppose Lakshmi and other farmers produce much more than before, then what happens? They want to sell their product. For this also, they require transport for their products to a nearby town. If government can invest some money in transportation and storage of crops, or makes better rural roads so that mini trucks reach everywhere, several farmers like Lakshmi now have access to water, can continue to grow and sell these crops. By this activity, so many people will get employment, not only just farmers, but also to other people who are doing their services in transport or trade. Next, coming to Lakshmi's problem, Lakshmi's need is not confined to water alone, but to cultivate the land, every farmer needs seeds, fertilizers, agricultural equipment, and pump sets to draw the water. Being a poor farmer and small farmer, the great lady farmer, she cannot afford many of these. So, what she has to do? She will borrow the money from the money lender, and she has to pay a high interest to the money lender. If the local bank gives her credit at a reasonable rate of interest, so that she can buy all the inputs of cultivation to cultivate her land, so along with the water, she also need cheap agricultural credit. Credit means here loan to the farmers for farming to improve. And like this, if government will provide all the facilities, small farmers like Lakshmi, so many farmers are there in India like Lakshmi, they cannot commit suicide, so they cannot take money from the money lenders. And another way to tackle this problem is that promote local industries, means small industries in semi-rural areas where a large number of people may employed. For example, many farmers decide to grow arhar and chickpea. Chickpea means pulse crops. So if the farmers are cultivating the crops like that, by setting a dal mill to procure and process these and sell in the cities is one such example. By opening a cold storage could give an opportunity for the farmers to store their products like potatoes and onions and sell them when the price is good. Not only that one, in villages near forest areas, they can start honey collection centers where farmers can come and sell wild honey. It is also possible to set up industries that process vegetables and agricultural produce like potato, sweet potato, rice, wheat, tomato, fruits which can be sold in outside markets. By providing all these facilities by the government, so employment in industries located in semi-rural areas and not necessarily in large urban areas. So like this, the government can generate the employment opportunities in the rural areas so that the people cannot migrate from villages to towns and cities for work. And do you know, children, that in India about 60% of the population belongs to the age group of 5 to 29 years. Out of this, only about 51% are attending educational institutions. The rest are not. They may be at home, or many of them may be working as child laborers. If all these children are attend to schools, we will require more buildings, more teachers, and other staff also. A study conducted by the Planning Commission, erstwhile is called Planning Commission, and now it is called as Niti Aayog. So a study conducted by the erstwhile we can call Planning Commission, whenever Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister of India, he changed Planning Commission into Niti Aayog. As Niti Aayog estimates that nearly 20 lakh jobs can be created in the education sector alone. Similarly, if we are to improve the health situation, we need many more doctors, nurses, health workers, etc. to work in rural areas. So these are the some ways by which jobs would be created, and by this we can say an aspect that is called development you studied in the chapter 1. And what is another thing to generate the employment by the government to the people? Every state or region has potential for increasing the income and employment for people in that area. How they can generate all these things? Through tourism, regional craft industry, or new services like IT, information technology. But for doing all these things, we require proper planning and support from the government. That is why, for example, the same study by the Planning Commission says that if tourism as a sector is improved, every year we can give additional employment to more than 35 lakh people. So we have to realize that some of the suggestions we have discussed, but it takes long time to implement. For the short term, we need some quick measures. Recognizing this, the central government in India made a law implementing the right to work. This right to work is introduced in 625 districts of India. It is called as MNREGA, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005. This one I will tell you in the next class. Thank you.